Check, check, check. Oh yeah, this ain't playing yet. But what's good, y'all? Welcome back to another stream. We're trying to get these rolling out a little daily, at least somewhat. It's especially if I'm watching a real interesting and informative YouTube video that I'm interested in, that not only I want to know about, but I want to share it with everybody else, because I feel like it's important for everybody else to know the information that I'm consuming, at least. Not that, all the information that I look at is relevant to anybody who, you know, follows me or anything, or is interested in the stuff that I'm interested in. It's not always the case, but something like this conversation, as well as the last conversation with like AI, this one being the divorce lawyer talking about, how things work out, not only in divorce, but what he's learned from it about love. Because what better person to understand what ways not to, do something than the person who's basically on the other end of said, result, I would say. Or at least a part of it, I would say. But yeah, man. James Sexton, one of my favorite, not only just experts in a given subject, but I think he actually is starting to produce his own content now. Granted, I love the fact that it's so interesting to me. Like, YouTube is doing this thing where they pretty much are allowing you to tag who you're collaborating with. That's a game changer, cause all of these videos that I'm finna start watching, they don't necessarily have to be home on my actual channel, my personal channel, my number one channel. I'm gonna start adding this to my streaming channel, which will have all my streams and everything. That way I don't have to necessarily cut everything and make it a beautiful video. If y'all want to watch a stream, learn with me, because that's going to be the main goal of those streams anyway. Just, of course I'm be doing gaming and everything, but the main purpose is for me to show y'all what I'm learning, because I feel like it's relevant to the current state of not only pop culture, but how the world is starting to, teeter towards. So, enough talking. Hope y'all enjoy the video.
When you're around a couple that doesn't like each other, like, you can sniff it out immediately. You can feel it. So
tension.
Maybe a good relationship is just a relationship that doesn't have all this bad.
Doing a lot. Gotta get prepared. Went to Subway before this, because I was actually doing work on some of our properties. Well, one of our properties over there on the beach side. And I sure enough got hungry. Got dumb hungry. But tomorrow's gonna be more efficient. But either way, I got my dessert.
That's really fascinating. Well, it's good you're
What'd
learning
he
this
say?
stuff. Whereas you can tell right away a bad relationship.
Oh yeah.
Like, when you're around a couple that doesn't like each other, like, you can sniff it out immediately. You can feel it. So maybe a good relationship is just a relationship that doesn't have all this bad stuff.
Mm-hmm. Literally. It's
really
learning from other people's mistakes.
Well, it's good you're learning this stuff early in life.
Right.
I've been practicing law longer than you've been alive, so you're really at a phase where you can learn this stuff now and
be good.
Really leverage it the right way. I mean, I'm very happy to see that some of my message has caught on with like a 20-something generation.
Because it's important.
You all have. I was raised in an environment, 1970s, early 1980s, where you weren't really supposed to question how things were done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we do this? Well, because grandma did it that way, and grandpa did it that way.
Right. But that don't mean it's
But we
right.
weren't saying the quiet part out loud, which is, well, grandma lived in a completely different world
Mm-hmm.
than I live in. Like, and their circumstances were completely different. So
Different
why is
concept.
the technology that was right for them right for me?
Mm-hmm.
Because to some degree, tradition is the wisdom of people who were here before us. And in some ways, tradition is peer pressure exerted by dead people. So I like when I get to talk to people in their 20s and early 30s, because there is a, you guys are like the generation that does not know life without the internet. So you all
It's a fact.
ask a lot of questions. And you go like, well, yeah, but why do you do it that way? And when you say, well, because that's how we've always done it. And they go, right, but why?
Right.
Like, what would this look like if it was easy? Like, what would it look like if we did it different?
Mm-hmm. There's
So I
another.
kind of love that for your generation. I'd love to see what that's going to do when applied to something like marriage or pair bonds or love, just romantic love. Like, maybe you guys will find a different way to do it, a different way to approach it. I mean, again, if we're not afraid to ask those questions and we don't just go, well, this is what grandma did, so I'll do it this way. I think you could find some great possibilities out there.
A lot of men don't know this, but the best way to prevent divorce, stop separation, and win their wife back is not by talking about the problem.
He's throwing me off with these. And I get it. He's young. I guess 2001, so he's 5 years younger than me. Maybe 4 in a couple months. But granted, he has enough information at his fingertips to know how to think. Especially he has a $5 million subscriber YouTube channel. He should know a couple things, and he should be able to come up with some interesting off the cuff questions versus just reading off his iPad there, because that's what it seems like he's doing the whole time, other than absorbing what's being said. I mean, he does give out possibly his perspective in a way, but it's weird that he keeps doing these. You don't have something to rebuttal it with or come back with on the fly. I don't know.
Yeah, this makes me think. I hope one day this podcast is kind of like the most influential podcast among like men and Gen Z. I think it's kind of already establishing that, and I hope that we. I know that we already have an audience of really successful young men that want to make sure they do things right, kind of what you're saying. So I think if I were to reverse this, I would ask you, if you're going through a divorce, what would be the most ruthless legal way to destroy your spouse?
It's a good way of approaching it, and it's a unique way of approaching it. That's exactly what I mean about your approach and your generation's approach, is you ask the question in a slightly different way, and you end up getting a different answer, which I really like. So how you ask the question often dictates the answer. So I think the question that you're asking is, how can I ensure a miserable divorce? How can I make this case as awful as possible for the other side? And it's interesting because often in consultations with clients, I will actually tell them that's how I analyze a case. When a client comes in and tells me their story, the first thing I'm thinking about is, if their spouse was sitting in the chair and said, I want this to be the ugliest, most protracted, expensive, awful divorce, what could I do to make it that? Because if I can ask that question and I can analyze it through that lens and come up with that answer, I'm going to shore up our defenses very quickly. And I'm going to know what to be on the lookout for.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's obviously better to be, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Gardener in the war.
Like, it's better to have ammunition and not need it than to need it
and not have it.
So I think
Not gonna hold you.
people have a proclivity, unfortunately.
Not gonna hold you. That's one thing I definitely learned from my dad, but at the same time, like, certain instances, it's good to know what you need. I don't know. I guess I'm tying it back to the nonsense that was going on today. But either way, the needed, the have it and I need it and I have it thing. My dad is almost drilled that into my head, which is a great thing to, understand and implement into your life because that goes with everything in life. And he hit it on the head. It's better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war. And I love that quote because it really speaks to the unwavering and unending pursuit of just being better, a better version of yourself that you should have throughout life, no matter what you are, man, woman, young, old, all that good shit. You should always be in search of better, of yourself specifically. And with that comes better throughout life, with like better circumstances, better finances, better relationships, all that. It doesn't hurt to get better at all. So knowing that, people have to understand that it's important to know a lot of stuff now. So important. Because too many times where we can not be prepared and not know what to do and just be ass out. SOL. Straight up. So we got to be able to know that for ourselves because ain't nobody gonna look out for you like you gonna look out for you. So it's better to be prepared and not need to, carry out what you prepared for. But I'd rather be prepared than not. So
when love falls apart, when people feel betrayed, when they feel scorned, to get angry. I think that's natural. I think we go through all of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of death and dying when you go through a breakup. Denial, bargaining, sadness, anger, and then ultimately acceptance. But some people go right to the anger.
I gotta write that down. I gotta write that order down because clearly he's, of course, memorized it. But I would say that's something that I wouldn't have been able to come to grips with or be like, this is actually what's happening in the midst of it until I was able to, naturally, organically process that whole, order of operations on my own. And for it to be that accurate, for me to not know what order makes sense, for it to like actually be okay in the end, I had to go through it myself and not know what order makes sense. Would I have to knock off the, checklist first for me to be able to be prepared for that next stage, or how the stage naturally plays out in general? Cause I gotta read. I think he said denial, bargaining. I don't think he might have said sadness, then anger. I can't remember the third one. It might not be sadness, but anger and then acceptance, I guess. It might be one more that I'm missing, but I think I definitely got whatever is before anger wrong. Let's see.
And then denial, bargaining, sadness, anger, and then
okay, I got them all right. It's denial, bargaining, because in my head that's how I actually went. Denial. I was like, this can't be happening. this not. I need more answers. What's going on? What's happening? Yeah, this is not it. I'm like this is just something's gonna blow over. It's gonna be fine. Denial, bargaining. He's like, oh, okay, well, maybe even though it's not necessarily over right now in the moment, it's like, I mean, even though it might be over currently right now, there's always a chance. There's always another shot. Maybe it'll work out that way. As long as we, are able to still be cool or in contact somehow, some way. Maybe that's how it really works out, and maybe it all comes back together in the end. Bargaining, sadness, the sad reality sinking into, okay, damn, maybe my bargaining isn't really feasible. Maybe it's not really gonna come to fruition. Like, damn, is this really happening? Like, damn, the fuck did I do? What why? Then just not knowing why is in its own sadness is a sick loop that you'll go through. But even if you, like, some people know why certain stuff happen, but it's even worse when you don't know and you don't have a clear understanding of why something might happen, and not being able to. That ties into like closure and not being able to get it for certain people, which was when I was in that stage. That's what really made me sad, not knowing, not really truly having closure. But then anger just naturally seeped in the longer it happened. I was angry. I was like, man, alright, well, they ain't gonna treat me like how I feel like I should be treated throughout this whole relationship. And even though in this latter ending stages, I should still be treated with a certain type of dignity, respect, and, you know, human decency. Especially coming from somebody who you say, you might have loved or whatever, and you might have had a strong connection with, so you say. Like, that came with a whole bunch of anger that, wasn't searing anger, but it was more so like, I'm fuck being sad anger. Like, fuck you. Like, straight up. I don't give a, like, that's how it is. Well, you clearly don't give a fuck about me. Why should I give a fuck about you? Straight up. So that's where the anger, helps you get past that stage, and it might not be where you want to stay, but it helps you get past the next stage and get on to, letting the anger dissipate, breezing your way through and getting to acceptance, which is a stage that only comes with not wanting to be angry anymore, not wanting to hold that anger in your heart, and not wanting to have it be a not a crutch, but like a block way for you to be able to, progress throughout that mental stage in your life, and, going to the next stage mentally from where you learn from it, and then eventually into another relationship that should be better. So it's a lot of that's truly the order that makes the most sense, and I don't know if people are, aware of that, or even, have a healthy grasp of how to get through that works for you, because although the stages will be the same, the way you get through the stages might be a lot different depending on the circumstances and what might have happened. It'll be a lot different for certain people, but that's pretty much how it worked out for me, and I'm glad I'm here to be able to accept it, because at this point it's like, it's whatever, because the easier it is for you to be at acceptance, the easier it is for you to find, not only be better in a relationship yourself, but also find the next best person who will not only, make you happy, but compliment you in that stage in your life. So that's important.
Ultimately acceptance. But some people go right to the anger, and they weaponize the intimacy that they had with another person. And that's a really frightening thing. It's one of the things that I think makes love frightening, particularly for young men. You know, young men who want to be all of those really positive masculine traits of being strong and being protective and being, you know,
Provisional.
someone who is a strong foundation on which to build.
Provisional.
And I think that you have to expose yourself a little bit to be in love. You have to.
That's for
You
sure.
have to let this person know you, and you have to let them know your soft spots, and you have to let them know what you're afraid of. And when it's done right, that can be a superpower.
Literally.
Like that can make someone's life phenomenal, because you can't learn everything you need to know about yourself
You
from
can't.
yourself.
Yeah, you got to be able to have that person to point the mirror to you and give you a different perspective. Cause like, that's what, like, in my head, it'd be so weird to see women say that they would, you know, they don't care whether or not they're single or not for the rest of their life. And it's also weird to hear that from men too, but it's mainly women that I'm hearing it from. At least from an online, you know, I'm going to say it and post it perspective. It might be a lot more men who feel the same way, but they just not posting it online like women are. At least from what I see. I might be on the wrong side of, you know, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff, but the overwhelming majority seems to be on women who be like, they don't care about love. Granted, they may be hurt by their last relationship. The dude might have not been shit. That might be all true, but at the same time, you have to hold yourself accountable too with your decisions on, you know, not being able to learn from your past and, you know, not put yourself in these same situations of not picking the right type of person or whatever. Because picking the right type of person means understanding yourself just that much. Like, that much more. Because the more you're able to pretty much have a mirror put to yourself, whether it's a self, you know, pointed mirror, or is somebody else willing to, you know, help you in a, you know, nice way. As crazy as that sounds. Because people could, of course, you have plenty of people every day, strangers, who are willing to point the mirror to yourself, but you're not necessarily going to care about what they say if they don't truly, truly know you. And somebody who truly, truly knows you is somebody you're going to be able to respect a different perspective from. Because they took the time out to sit here and understand you and be your person, be your friend. Be somebody who's actually want to be in a relationship with, type of thing. Whether that's romantic or familial or all the above. That means something. And if you don't care about it, if you rather be single, that just instantly puts me in the mindset of you just want to avoid being better yourself. That's all that means to me. It might be a sick way of being like a contradictor or like not a combatant, but an opposer to people who say they'd rather be single. Honestly, that's my reasoning. Might not make sense to anybody else who's in that stage of their life or who has that sentiment of being okay being single, but at the same time, it's like, that's my reason. It's kind of weird to me. It's just simply weird to me, and that's the single reason. You're just not willing to become the best version of yourself. Because if you're the best version of yourself, it's a lot easier to be able to find and weed out the person that you're supposed to be with. Well, weed out the people you're not supposed to be with to find the person you're supposed to be with. Because honestly, all it is effort. And if you're okay with not putting effort in finding somebody. It's kind of odd.
Like you need other people. You need people to see your blind spots. You need people to say, hey, like this is, I know what you're trying to do, but maybe you're missing this. Because, we don't know who discovered water, but it wasn't a fish. Like if you're in it, you don't see it clearly. So I think we need other people. And a pair bond, a marriage, a relationship between romantic partners, I think is an incredibly unique and powerful form of intimacy, connection. Intimacy has nothing to do with sex. Intimacy is the ability to be completely yourself with another person. So I think what happens in relationships is when they go wrong, this person now has a whole dossier and all the things you're afraid of. They know all the things that, like anyone who's in a relationship,
Can
you look over at your
quickly
partner,
be an enemy.
There's a sentence you could say. You could
You
say
would
that
know.
sentence and it would reduce them to tears. Like, the thing they're most afraid of. The thing that they're most ashamed of. And And like when you're really mad at them, there's some
You
part
could
of you
use
that
it.
goes, I could just say that thing. Like, if I just said that, like it would
And
just
really,
break
really
him, bro,
bother
it would
somebody.
break her. And when people go through divorce, they're more prone to saying that. Like they're more prone to saying that thing. But the thing is once you say it, you can't unsay
Yep,
it.
because
Once
you
do
were
it,
willing
can't
to say
undo
it.
And unfortunately, divorce is one of those processes where villainy can be rewarded. Like, the bank robber has a tactical advantage over the cops because they can shoot innocent bystanders. Cops can't. The Joker always has an advantage over Batman
Because he don't
because
care.
he doesn't care if he blows up the whole building just to kill one person. Whereas
You're
if
the one trying to prevent it.
protect, like in a divorce, if you're trying to protect the children,
You're the
you're giving
one.
up a certain tactical
Yep.
advantage.
You're the one who is, don't have an advantage for real. That's truly it. If you're the one trying to prevent something versus being able to not care about the actual outcome, at that point you have more power because you have less of an incentive to cooperate. That's crazy to think about, but that's the sad reality. But yeah, that also comes with like a sense of strength to know that, okay, I'm willing to do it and I'm okay with not getting said result. That comes with a certain type of strength.
Because if you don't care about the kids, you can weaponize the kids. So in divorce, what I often see is good people at their absolute worst, willing to weaponize almost anything. And in a conference room, when I'm alone with them, look, in a courtroom at a negotiating table, I'm a weapon. Like you point me at a person, you tell me what it is we're going to do, and we do it. And we're strategic and we're tactical. But behind closed doors, I tend to try to convince people to focus on the angels of their better nature and to think about the long term. Because I think ultimately, anger and violence is like reaching into a pile of hot coals to throw them at someone. You may or may not hit them, but you're going to burn yourself for sure. And I think that anger can be incredibly toxic. So I think the most brutal things people can do in divorce are weaponize children. We have as adults tremendous power over children. And when you have children with someone, you can engage in alienation, which is overtly hurting the parent-child bond, or what we call negative gatekeeping, which is doing nothing to facilitate the parent-child bond. Like you could have been helpful, but you choose not to be. And then, of course, there's all kinds of financial games people can play in divorce. You can move money, hide money. Cryptocurrency has opened up a whole new realm for people to hide money that's very difficult to trace, especially when judges are woefully inadequately knowledgeable about tech in general. So they don't understand when you're explaining to them that, this person, this is how they moved their money and this is how they've essentially made money vanish and disappear. So yeah, there's no shortage to things that people can do to whack each other over the head in the process of divorce. And part of my job is figuring that out so we can help do it. But more often my job is identifying it so we can shore up defenses and prevent the other side from doing it.
I really resonate with children, and I would guess that would be the most ruthless tool that people use.
People love their children more than anything. So your children and your pets. are the two things that most people love more than themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you go at them, that's going to really be someone's soft targets.
So I guess put me in the room with you. Like if I come to you and I'm a client and I'm like, I'm a wealthy guy. I have no kids. I've been with this girl for, let's say, 3 years. I'd say that's a fairly common situation.
Sure.
Like James, she's suing me. She has a lot of my money to do this. How bad can it be?
Yeah, usually it's not going to be that bad because that's a short-term marriage. It's a short-term marriage with no kids. So a common mistake that people make when they're thinking about divorce is that when you marry someone, everything you own is now half theirs, which is simply not the case.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a concept called the marital presumption. And the marital presumption is that any property that's acquired during the marital period is presumed to be marital and would be divided 50-50 in the event of a divorce. But let's look realistically at the example that you just gave me. I've got a young man who is successful. Let's say he's in finance. I mean, this is a case I handle all the time. I'm in New York City, so it's a lot of my clients are in finance. They're in their 30s. They're worth tens of millions of dollars in their 30s. They've done all the right things. They went to all the right schools. They worked for Goldman. They worked for all the right places. And now they're in a position where they're in their 30s and they're worth, $20 million, $30 million. And they usually don't marry a woman who's in finance also.
Mm-hmm.
They usually marry a yoga teacher
Yep.
or an Instagram model or a bottle service girl or a girl from the Ukraine who they met when they were traveling, or they met online.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, that's, I'm casting no aspersions
Right.
on either person in that equation. Like, I think that polarity is what draws us to people, right? So that guy who I'm describing, and he's been my client many times, that type of guy, he's usually really done all the right things. And he's like spent most of his life trying to build and accumulate. And he's really not had that much fun, maybe. And having someone who's fun
Right.
and kind of
Helps out.
carefree and,
Takes-
like pulls him out of his
Yeah.
shell and is like, no,
Mhm.
come on, get out of the office. Let's go do some crazy stuff.
Has a
you know?
different.
Like, that's what he
They have a different, like, not just lifestyle, but also life path and life knowledge to a certain extent. Because he might have made the amount of money, but she also didn't necessarily have to make the same amount just to have the same type of lifestyle or said lifestyle that is exciting to the general population, including that person who made his money. Because he was focused on making the money, but he didn't really necessarily have time to do the same type of stuff that she was afforded without needing to make said money. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into why that type of relationship happens more often than not. And it's also a different type of mental space and different, set of morals and what's a different word? Just understanding of how people work, not only necessarily just life, but people as well. Like, shit is a lot different. So
he wants. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for someone to like soften him up and lighten him up. And what's she looking for? She's looking for stability. She's
Yep.
looking for security. She's looking for someone who she can rely on.
because
She's
she
looking
didn't
for someone
build that
who's a little bit
herself type
serious
shit
and can help
necessarily.
her get a little more serious because she's living this very sort of, like feather in the wind kind of an existence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Going
not a
with the
bad
flow.
pair. Like, that's actually a pretty good pair for each other. There's a polarity there. There's a yin and yang going on there. But most of the things that he has, he accumulated prior to their meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's separate property. She's not going to get it.
Here's a hot take. If you have a message inside you that people are meant to hear, it'll never make the impact that it truly deserves.
If he's handled it the right way. Meaning, if he put his assets into joint title during the 3 years that they were married, now we might have a problem. But if he kept his premarital assets in separate accounts in his sole name, they're not on the table in a divorce. They're not marital property. There's no transmutation is the term that we use, which is when you add marital money to separate property money you had before your marriage, you can transmute it. You can accidentally turn separate property into marital property. This is why, again, we should have some premarital education for people. Like, marrying is the most legally significant thing you will ever do other than dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has massive implications on your legal
life.
rights and obligations. If you buy an apartment or rent an apartment or lease a car, do you know how much paperwork you have to sign that explains your rights, your obligations, what the loan amount is, how much interest you're actually paying? Like, there's all these disclosures that the law requires
You to be
disclosed
aware.
to you. Lead
Yeah.
paint disclosures.
Be aware of.
Statutory disclosures as to how much interest you're paying on an auto loan. You get married, you don't get a pamphlet.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
You just
Nothing.
sign.
You get no education. Most people learn about what they did legally when they got married
At the end.
in my office. That's the first time they learn. Which is like the worst time to learn how to fight's when you're in a fight.
Yep.
Like, you should figure this out beforehand, right? So it is in our interests as a society to educate people before they get married as to what is happening when they get married legally. Like, what has changed? And if I could give any gift to the young men of the world, because I know you have an audience that's got a lot of young men in it, it would not be don't get married. It would not be terrified of marriage and be skeptical of marriage.
Knowing how
I
to
would say go in
navigate
with
it.
your eyes open. You know, go in and realize you're engaging in a risky activity. When you're driving, you're engaging in a risky activity. It doesn't mean you should take horse and buggy everywhere or walk everywhere. Take a car, but have a seatbelt, have an airbag, pay attention.
Know
hands
how to
attended to, don't
drive.
be on your phone texting. Like, basic intelligent things you can say to somebody. You wouldn't say, so if I said, well, you know, cars are really dangerous, there's a lot of car accidents, you wouldn't say, well, so you want me to walk everywhere? No, I didn't say that. But I just said, take it seriously. Like, take it seriously. And by the way, we do. In order to get a driver's license, you have to take a written test. Then you have to get a permit. Then you have to take driver's education. Then you have to practice for a period of time. Then you have to take a road test. Then you only have a probationary license, and you have to drive on that license under certain restrictions. Married? Nope. You can get married. Go out right now. You can go out, pick a girl on the street right now, go to City Hall, get married today. No education as to what it is you just did legally. No education as to what impact that's going to have on your long-term rights and obligations. So that's where we're doing a tremendous disservice to people, is we're not educating anyone as to what it is they're signing on for.
I don't want to hone on this point too much because you have talked about it at length, but is there any like real logical benefit to it? Like, not emotional, not connection, but just like purely logical.
Yeah, true. Honestly, like, you can do all the same stuff without this legal obligation that has everything to do with, does this make sense for us to do logically? Because that's like, I'm glad he asking this question, because logically, like, unless you think for it logically, like, you can't, like, it's irrational and irresponsible for you to get married simply based off of emotions and simply based off of, I love you, you love me. Simply not enough. You have to do it based off of logic, and does this make sense for both of us to do? Not just one of us, but both of us. And are we willing to get to a legal standing, whether or not we see our lives happening in a certain way, or, you know, me being in a certain position and what I want to do with my life, you know, how I see that playing out within a relationship, all that different stuff has to come into play, and it has to be on the forefront of somebody's mind of who is getting married, because that's why we really, as dudes, that be on the forefront, because we have all this past evidence of it not making sense specifically for us. It might not always, sometimes it doesn't work out for the girl either, but the overwhelming majority, it's us that's getting the shit in the stink, for real, for real. We're typically getting the end of the stick. So that's why this is such an important question. I wonder what he gonna say, cause like he said, is there a logical, practical, like reason for us to get married, and what reasons are they?
uh, like not emotional, not connection, but just like purely logical, uh, purely utilitarian. Like
There's tax benefits to it. There's
That's
very
body,
marginal.
buddy.
yeah,
Right,
tax
marginal.
benefits to
Yeah.
it, depending on your income level. Religion, obviously, like religion can't be discounted. I mean, the first thing everybody says in the comments anytime I talk about, marriage skepticism is, well, it's commanded, whatever religion, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, every Abrahamic religion, most religions have something that encourages you to marry. And so, most people say, well, that's why. That's why I'm doing it.
So if you get married in the church, you're legally married in the government as well? Like, how does that?
It's a tricky question and a good
Yeah.
one. So for many years, no.
That's true. That's a good rebuttal. I'm glad I thought of, I'm glad I was like, that still doesn't go into logic though. That doesn't play into logic. So I'm glad he asked that question, because that doesn't necessarily make a, like, not that he's wrong in it, but it's also like that didn't really, play into the answer that makes sense, because we're trying to stick like specifically to logic, and whether religion has specific logic in it, it's also necessarily just belief. Like, that's not necessarily logic. Like, a lot of people misinterpret religion, so that could be a factor into it too. So not it isn't necessarily what he's speaking on.
Religious marriage and secular marriage were not necessarily, like, you could religiously marry someone and never secularly marry them, and you could secularly marry a person and never have any religious component to it. There have been some holdings in courts in recent years that if you have what we would call a symbolic marriage or a religious marriage, but you don't legally marry, have a secular marriage, that the court can actually impute a real intent to marry in a legal fashion, and you don't need to have actually legally married. Because otherwise, that would be the great life hack.
Dang, I didn't know that. So they saying even if you like spiritually or symbolically married, you can still be legally obligated in some way, shape, or form. That's crazy to think about. In certain instances, I guess. That's insane to think about, actually. Wow. I wonder what those implications are, and what fits into that category. Cause damn, that's a game changer. Like, that's true. If it was that simple, why isn't more people doing it? Just symbolically getting married. Because it would all be that much easier. Like, it's not too much of a benefit to be legally married based off of the marginal tax benefit that you get necessarily. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just go out and have a wedding. Like, you don't have to actually get married. Like, I mean, you've been to weddings. You've never at the end been like, let me just check the paperwork. Can I see your marriage license?
I like how he usually adds this little point to every one of his talks too. He said this definitely on, I think, Diary of a CEO and somebody else that I've seen. It might have been White, what is it? Soft White Underbelly. It might have been that one too, but he typically always says that, as well as the I think not no, never mind. I know he always says that. It was something else that he typically always says too.
Like, your parents, you didn't say like, oh, can I see your marriage license? I'm not just going to take your word for the fact that you're married. Like, you don't actually check people's paperwork. So for a period of time, I think people took comfort in the idea of like symbolic marriage. Like, oh, we'll get religiously married, or we'll get like spiritually married, or we'll call each other husband and wife, but we won't actually be husband and wife.
We also have common law marriage too, right?
Common law marriage does not really exist that much anymore. There was a concept called palimony or common law marriage. Very few states have common law marriage anymore. Common law marriage was a function of the fact that if you held out someone as your spouse, meaning that you called them your spouse, you referred to them as your spouse, but you were never legally married to them, that you could have some of the same rights and obligations of a married person. It was also something that, because of same-sex relationships before marriage equality, that was one of the reasons why that still stuck around as a concept, because we were having all these quasi-marital relationships. Like, you're not married, but you're kind of married. You're domestic partners. You have a civil union. You have, a long-term relationship with cohabitation. When marriage equality became the law of the land, the court system basically said, okay, all those other kind of marriage things, everybody can get married now if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're over the age of 18, you can get married now. Marry a man, marry a woman, 2 women, 2 men,
They don't
whatever.
care.
You can get married now. So all these quasi-marital things, no, not anymore.
Don't need it.
You want to get married, get married. You want to do something like a marriage? Great. It's not a marriage. You don't get the rights and obligations that come
They
with it.
set a
But you go ahead
definition
and do
to it.
whatever other permutation you want. But marriage is marriage, and there's no such thing as this is marriage-like.
It's interesting to think about how at the time it felt like such, I want to say this carefully, like a big right for like gay or lesbian couples to be able to marry each other. But
Oh, yeah.
the way you frame it, and I don't know, you might have had friends or people that you knew personally, and they were like, well, shit, we didn't want this. We had it
Oh,
to
yeah.
where we didn't have the liabilities with it,
Yeah. Well, I live in Chelsea, which is a neighborhood in Manhattan that for many years has had a very gay male presence. It's sort of known as a neighborhood where a lot of gay men live, and I've lived there for many years. And so I have a lot of gay male friends. And I remember when marriage equality became the law of the land, saying to some of them, like, oh, like, are you excited? Like, it's cool. Like, you guys got the right to marry. And a lot of them were like, no, I'm not excited. Like, it's terrible. Like I have to have that conversation now of like, where's this going? Like, we never had to have that conversation. They're like, part of the fun of being gay was that we were sort of outside the system. Like, we didn't have the right to marry. We weren't allowed to
Have the right or the pressure to it. And that just naturally, allows a relationship to continue or just not continue. Simply, it's not like a main reason why. It's not like a time stamped why. It's either you want to have the relationship or you don't. And it's not predicated on me being like, I should be married now or whatever like that. That's not anything that needs to be brought up if y'all are both happy. Of course, you can have a symbolic marriage and everything like they saying, but to now be obligated or be pressured to do it, it's like that's another fight that's another battle I have to go through when it comes to something that shouldn't have this battle.
adopt or have children. Like, it was this sense of like, oh no, like you're in the outlaw of society. And look, that's a terrible thing on many levels, but it also gave a lot of men in gay culture the ability to create new ways of doing things and different ways of relating to things. And now they're getting put in the same traditional boxes that everybody was unsuccessfully in, that heterosexual couples have been miserable about for years. Like, there was a period of time when there was a lot of debate about gay marriage. And I was a contrarian that I used to sort of say, like, hey, I never had a problem with gay people.
right.
But, like, if you hate gay people, make them get married like the rest of us. Like, why should they have all the fun that they're having? Like, you should, like, if you hate gay and lesbian people,
that was a sort of freedom without us seeing it as freedom. They was free, truly. Like, now, you have to worry about the same bullshit.
you'd be cheering for them to have the right to marry. Because over 50% of the time it catastrophically fails. And then another 20-30% of the time people go, I kind of wish I hadn't done it. So why wouldn't you want them to have access to this awful technology if you didn't like them? You know, if you actually like gay and lesbian people, you might have been like, ooh, let's not make them go through this, you know. But look, I think marriage is important to people for a variety of reasons, many of which they've never really thought that much about. And that's really what I think the bulk of my work in media has been, is just asking the question, which does not strike me as revolutionary of a question as it is.
Quick one. Something Chase taught me on our last interview was that being well researched gives you a significant advantage when entering a conversation with someone. So now when I have a guest on my podcast, I try to learn the little details, hidden gems, things that they would never think I would know about them.
That boy got 2 different tones on him. Like, look at his neck and his face. His face is just, what's the term? Washed, I guess. I don't know. But it's definitely too pink, and his neck is, look like he just came from a tanning bed. It looks close to the color of his hair. I don't know how you did that, but I'm not even gonna necessarily say it was a tanning bed either.
So our content is as good as possible. This is a bit voice memo, subscribe, views on social media. You can all back
Instead of,
best.
which is when someone says, I'm getting married, instead of saying, oh my God, that's so great, saying, oh really, why? Why is that a crazy question to ask? Why is that a rude question to ask? Like if you came to me when you were starting this show and said, Jim, I'm starting a podcast. And I said, oh really, why? It's not a rude question. Like, well, I think I have something to say. I think I have a unique voice. I think that I, have a message I want to get out to the world. I'm curious and I want to be able to ask questions of interesting people. These are great reasons to start a podcast. Like, asking a question it's not saying you're doing the wrong thing. It's saying, hey, tell me about why this appeals to you. So marriage is the same thing. If you said to me, I'm getting married, okay, why? and by the way, your answers might be incredibly pragmatic because it's important to my parents. Because I'm religious, and in my religion, it's really important.
What's most common between men and women?
What they'll tell you, or what it really is.
What it really is.
See, that's my theory. It's what it really, 'cause
yeah,
what they'll
you
tell
can't.
is what it really is. I mean, what they'll tell you is,
what they'll tell you is not always gonna be what it really is. But what it really is doesn't necessarily have to always come to light. So that's always gonna be like a what if or what might it be type of like answer. So it's ambitious for him to ask that and to think he's gonna get a real concrete answer, but that just isn't the case all the time.
love, which again, I don't know what that has to do with marriage. Or they'll say, oh, well, it's, I don't want to lose this person, which is very strange to think that if you love this person so much that you would choose them out of 8 billion other options and you want to be with them and only them for the rest of your life. But if you don't sign up for this thing with the government, they're going to leave. Like, wow. That bond is that tenuous.
Right.
Like,
that's really plays into a factor.
I think the main reason people marry is, I think it's the triumph of faith over reason. I think that people want to believe that it's going to give them control over something that we don't really have control over. It's going to sound Buddhist of me to say, but I think it's very normal and human to want to control things.
Yeah.
The analogy I give to people is when someone tells you that someone they know has lung cancer, you often will find yourself saying, oh, were they a smoker? Oh, did they work with asbestos? And it's not that you're being unsympathetic.
You just want to
you're
reason.
Thinking, oh my God, why is that happening?
Yeah.
And how can I have that not happen to me or anyone I love?
You want to avoid
you want to have control over it. Because the truth is, like, sometimes the way people get cancer is God just goes eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yep.
And you're the person who was unlucky enough to get this. Or you're the person who was standing on the corner when the car jumped the curb. Like, and the world's far too terrifying if you acknowledge that, how utterly unpredictable everything is, So I think that marriage is a way it's so human. Like,
yeah.
I love this person. Like, I love them. I love who I am when I'm with them. I love how they make me feel about them and how they make me feel about me and how they make me feel about the world. Like, I look at them and I feel like the best version of myself. Like, these are amazing emotions to feel. Those are the most important things you could feel in your whole life. Like all the things we do as men, you know, all the like, you know, we go out, we work in the world, and we want to get fast cars, and we want to get big. Why? Because we want to attract love. We want to attract a woman. We want to
Simple
attract
as that.
multiple women, or whatever. But it's that we want connection. Like all these guys that are like, oh, women are, you know, whatever. Okay, but you spend a lot of time talking about women. Like a lot of time talking about women. The opposite of love isn't hate.
It's indifference.
The opposite of love is indifference. So if a guy genuinely doesn't
Like-
care what women think, he's not going to have a lot of women around.
Yeah,
him.
it's
He's
not
gonna-
gonna be on his mind. It's not gonna be like, okay, whatever. It's gonna be whatever. Like, it's not gonna be a big burden as far as what's drawing attention from him. And yeah, that's what really bothered me, cause I'd rather a breakup end in hate than in indifference. Cause if it went from having love to somebody to just indifference, that's a step below hate. Like, hate is in the middle in my head. It's either you love somebody, you hate somebody, or you're indifferent. And if you're indifferent, that's a way farther, road to get to coming from love than it is from going to love to hate. Because love and hate, it could be just a flip of a switch or one conversation type shit. But going from love to past hate to indifference, it's like something really, really, truly had to happen, like, gradually, for you to have that opinion on somebody else or have that viewpoint to somebody else. Because it's truly like you've, at that point, laid out all the possible, I guess, options and information and knowledge about that, and then just came to, like, not giving a no more. And that's being on the other end of that indifference, like being the one being indifferent to, like, it's, that should have sent somebody into a spiral. Because it's like, am I that bad? It'll make you question yourself so much. It'll bring out, like, it'll really put you in a place that, like, a lot of people probably aren't truly equipped to get out of. They would have to speak to somebody about that and try to truly put forth the effort to understand why they feel that way and why it happened. So, yeah, boy, going from love to indifference is such a sick thing to go through.
Really care that much about women. But there's something we know that's very compelling about the connection we feel when we're with a woman, right? A good woman, a woman who has value in our eyes,
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's transient value or long-term value. So I think what marriage is a very human and incredibly flawed way to try to hold on to something that you can't hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Botox, like, I'm going to try to stay young. You won't.
You can't.
I
You can't.
promise.
You can't
You're
escape it.
Definitely gonna get old.
Right.
You're definitely gonna get old. You're definitely gonna die.
And this is
Those are
not
for
a way
sure
to
gonna
battle that.
So, you can try to resist that as much as you want
Literally.
to. You can make that the thing you're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a dumb thing to make the thing you're afraid of. Like, if you want to be afraid of something, be afraid of spiders. You could probably go, you can minimize how many of those you have to interact with.
Right.
But death, every single person you know
You
is
can't escape.
And illness, every single person
Can't
you know is going
escape.
to get ill, and you're going to definitely get ill. Aging, you're definitely going to get
escape.
old. You're definitely going to get wrinkled. If you have physical strength, you will definitely lose it someday. Like, this is just the nature of the organism of human beings. I think marriages are very human attempt
To
create,
Yep.
walls around the beautiful connection we feel with another person and protect it from the world. It doesn't work.
And loss is synonymous with death. It doesn't necessarily have to be death, but it's synonymous. It's the same concept. Because a breakup, sends all the same, neural, uh, synaptic, like, things happening in your brain and feelings and all the different, cortisols, all that good stuff is all the same that's flooding your brain as it would be if you went through somebody dying. It's all the same because you held it up that much in your life as something that's like just near and dear to you, and for it to just not be a part of your life anymore, it's the same feeling.
It doesn't work. But that doesn't stop us from trying. And there's something really beautiful about the fact that we keep trying.
It's really fascinating. I would guess this would be a whole other conversation, so we can't talk about it too much, but I would guess that's a similar framework you have for viewing religion.
Sure. Sure, it's about control. You know, the most intelligent thing I ever heard anyone say about God is they said that God is the name that we give to a blanket that we put over a mystery to give it shape. Like, it's just a word we use for a thing we couldn't possibly understand.
Yeah.
Like, if there is an omnipotent creation force that created everything,
Right.
how could we possibly understand it?
Yeah.
Like, so we just like give it a name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people call it God, some people
Buddha.
call it Yahweh, some
Yeah,
people
Yahweh,
call
all
it,
that stuff.
Krishna.
Yeah.
So, like, you give it but these are just names for something that's unnameable. Like it's not a coincidence that the opening line of the Tao Te Ching is the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. And the opening line of the Christian Bible is, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was of God, and the Word was God. Like, basically what both of those texts written in completely different parts of the world at completely thousands of years apart, they're both just saying, yeah, like, we're about to try to describe something that you can't really describe.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, before the Word was God and the Word was of God. So what you're saying is that God created the Word and the Word created God. Like, you're creating a chicken.
Oh, I'm glad I said it right before he said it. Chicken before the chicken or the egg conversation. That's literally what it is. That's literally what it is. It's a chicken. What came before, chicken or the egg? I'm glad I'm pausing at the very right time, cause I'm glad I'm on the save. I can. Knowing what somebody might say before they say it helps me understand that my thought process is on the right trajectory. Like, cause a lot of this stuff, you have to put a lot of different, things that make sense together to understand certain stuff. That's why, boy, I know I'm going out of, order of my streams because I was supposed to finish the AI conversation today. I still possibly can, but, I don't know. I don't like to stream for longer than 2 hours at a time because, I don't know. I gotta still post on social media and stuff and do some other stuff on it. But I'm gonna post this whole thing just straight up to YouTube. No edits, nothing. Just see what it do. I'm just gonna see what it do because this is important. Because I'm hitting it on the head, man. It's a chicken or the egg situation. Like, we're trying to make sense of something that we will never possibly have any real come to grip explanation towards that we can have as a whole. Like, just because you might come to that conclusion doesn't mean everybody's going to be like, okay, that's the overwhelming consensus answer for why things are the way they are.
Versus egg paradigm. So it's the same thing. I think love is the same thing. Like, love and marriage is that people talk about marriage as if they're talking about love. Oh, my marriage has given me so much. My marriage has given. No, your love with this person has given you so much. Marriage is an institution you put on top of that love. You're telling me that if you hadn't gotten the government involved, you wouldn't have that connection to that person? You wouldn't have loved each other the way that you did? You wouldn't have connected to each other the way that you did? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'd like to hear more about your practice and what you do daily. And
I wish he wouldn't. I wish he wouldn't go straight. Like, I don't know. He's not necessarily connecting with him like a podcast host should be connecting to with their guest, in my opinion. Like, that's the one thing that Steven does well on Diary of a CEO. He connects with his, guests, and actually tries to not necessarily stay on script with what questions he wants answered. I mean, but he also just have natural questions that pop up in his head, and natural, not even just questions, but responses that just breeds connection with the person who has the information that he's trying to get it from. And that makes it so much easier to talk to somebody and get sometimes get answers without asking questions that anybody who's watching your podcast or your video doesn't necessarily have to ask themselves either, because that's a question that they might have asked if they was in the same room with the podcaster and the guest. Like, if they had a guest audience who was able to ask a question in this exact moment, they just naturally come to the conclusion of, the same kind of way of thinking or whatever, like thinking path.
James, what's the scrappiest legal defense you've used to protect a client, or a small detail that saved you in a case?
The scrappiest defense. I'm kind of known as a scrappy guy. Like, I'm
You
not
can
afraid
tell.
to make a fool of myself in a courtroom. Like,
You can
I
tell he got that
enjoy-
type of personality.
my style in a courtroom's a little snarky and performative.
Mhm.
And there's judges I know I can really go on
Yep.
with it, like that they find it amusing. And then there's judges that will
Don't
not
play that
tolerate
shit.
it, so
Don't
I
play
have
that
to
shit.
Reel it in pretty heavy with them.
Yeah.
But my clients who hire me, like, you don't buy the steak, you buy the sizzle. Like you're hiring me
Because that's who he is. He'll fight this way, give you a different type of advantage in the courtroom, or a different type of, understanding, or just way of speaking, because his communication style isn't like, it helps people understand shit easy. He's somebody that you want to listen to because he speaks in a way that honestly should make sense to everybody, because he's asking the questions that needs to be asked, and is coming up with the same conclusions that the overwhelming majority should be able to come to themselves. So it's like, that's a superpower. I already know that's the reason because let's not get it twisted now. He's saying the steak or the sizzle, I forget what it is, but although they coming to him for the sizzle, his steak is pretty damn good because he know what he doing.
because I'm a performer. And sometimes the performance is a subdued performance, and sometimes,
It's a
I get to go over the
performance.
top.
Yeah.
So the scrappy stuff is the stuff where you really get to go over the top. I mean, I've had, I was in court 2 weeks ago Monday, on a trial where I was cross-examining a woman, and she was just trying to be evasive on cross-examination, which people do all the time. Like, people try to be cute
Yeah,
on cross-examination. And I love it.
Right.
Because you kind of...
Because he has to be, like, you have to be able to not only combat that evasiveness, but in a way where it falls within the guidelines of the type of question that you're able to ask. Because I don't know a lot about, how actual legal proceedings work. I probably should, look more into how it truly works in real life time, like although the legal battles that are public, I don't really care about, because it's mainly just famous people bullshit. Let's be honest with you. It's nothing that, anybody should be real interested in, but they are. But like from the legal shows like Suits, what else am I watching now? The Lincoln Lawyer is probably another one too. I mean, even though Law and Order is somewhat, I guess, I don't know, it's not as focused in on the legal aspect as these shows are. Cause legal shows, I probably put them over. I probably put them over like real dramas, to be honest with you. Oh, another one. M- what is it? Not My Pal Sal. My Name is Sal. Is it My Name is Sal? Sal Silverman. Y'all know Breaking Bad. But his own show, that was fire. I think people sleep on that spinoff. People sleep on that spinoff truly. Like, Sal was fire. And that's the type of scrappy that he is kind of speaking to, because Sal, he was a scrappy muff. He knew how to find what could help him, and he knew the legal loopholes, all that good shit that really helps in cases. And he was just that type of lawyer, and that was his leg up. You gotta have a leg up in a way that you can, win more than the other lawyer that isn't necessarily tied down to what you learned to pass the bar.
You have to earn the right to beat up a witness on the witness stand. Like if you go in hard from minute one, you come off like a bully.
Yeah, bully.
So you have to go in like you're being genuinely thoughtful and asking questions that you really want to know the answer to.
You just want the answer. That's
when in
it.
fact my job is to dismantle you and make you look awful.
Yep.
And so I have to go in very gentle, and I hope
They
that what
they
you're going to
let
do is try to
let him off the leash. They hope that he can get off the leash. That's what he's talking about. That's literally, bro. Like, those are the ones that he wants. Those are the cases that he wants. The cases that are boring to him are the ones where he don't have to do all that he can win. But he wants those type of cases where he can be let off the leash and actually go into his natural way of being a lawyer. Because really, like he said, he subdues his natural instinct to, like, be that shark in that courtroom and to come after you, where he knows can truly come after you. But it's a fine line that he has to battle on a, case-to-case basis that those get him excited for.
to be cute and try to be smart and try to like be smarter than me, because it's not a fair system. Like, A, I do this for a living, and B, I'm cross-examining you. I get to ask you questions. You don't get to ask me questions. It's not a fair game in that sense.
Right.
So the best witnesses have some humility to them, and if they don't know, they say I don't know, and if they know, they answer honestly, and like it's better. But I was cross-examining a woman, and she had said in her early testimony that she was unemployed. She wanted to relocate. She has been in New York for many years. She has a 12-year-old son with my client, and she wanted to move to California because she got a new job offer. And it was obvious that she had not really tried to find a job in New York, that she just wanted to move to California because California's nice. You live there. Like, California's great weather. You got the traffic, but you got the weather. And this guy would have effectively lost, a massive amount of time with his son, who he's been very, they divorced when the kid was like 1. So he's been a 50% dad, for 11 years.
11? Damn.
And on direct examination, she had said, I've been unemployed for 18 months.
That's the reason, right?
I knew that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Like, she'd had a website where she put herself out as a coach and all these other things. And she'd taken down the website before the litigation, but I used the Wayback Machine to like find her old website and to pull it up. And on cross, I said, now you testified earlier that you have been unemployed for 18 months. I wrote it down. That's what you said, right? She said, yes. I said, so for 18 months.
You didn't have no income.
You've been without employment.
Right.
I said, yes, without employment. I said, and this job that you took, you didn't want to move to California. You took it because it was the only opportunity you could get. Is that right? She's like, yeah, absolutely. And I said, after being unemployed for 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
She said, yeah.
That matters.
I could see in her
That
brain. She's
wording
going
matters.
Like, oh my God, this is great. Like
Right.
this guy's, I'm looking
He's
good
agreeing.
right now, you know?
No,
Which, by the way, never.
dumbass.
If I'm cross-examining you, no.
Dumbass. No, he's baiting you. He's letting you know you're verbally confirming a lie. Because he about to hit you with the truth. That's what it always is. You think he not baiting you right now? You're stupid. These questions, you're literally, like, you know these are lies. You think he don't know the real answer to these lies? I'm confused. You think he just asking this because he shooting in the dark? No. He has the evidence. That's the whole point of going to court, is to prove without a shadow of a doubt what you're saying is true versus what they saying is a lie. Like, that's what it is. He has the evidence. Whether it's or not is it's enough is a different question. But he has the evidence for these answers.
Never think you're doing well. You're not. Like, you're not. Like, I'm walking you into a bear trap, I promise.
Straight up.
And I said, now, ma'am, isn't it true that you had a coaching practice up until at least a couple of months ago?
She like,
Well,
yeah. Right. Well, I mean, it's always a dumbass excuse. It's always that doesn't, it is. Whether you realize that was a legal, way to categorize this, that's what it is. Don't act dense.
Yeah, I did. And you didn't have any clients at all? I said, because you had a website, isn't that right? I said, yeah. And you had client testimonials on that website.
Was that a lie?
Make all those up?
Makes
No,
them look even worse.
She's screwed. If she says, yes, I made them all up, all right, you're a liar.
Right.
If you say, oh, no, I did have a bunch of...
That goes to your credibility, and no matter what, like, at that point, they question your every answer. Because if you're able to just uncover any specific lie that can compromise all the truths that you might actually be, saying, it don't really matter. You're still labeled as a lie. It's a net negative. I don't know if that's the right term to use, but it'll never be, like, you can never be more of a truther than a liar. No matter what, you're a liar. It really don't matter.
Coaching clients, okay, you're a liar. Because you said earlier you were unemployed. So what did she do? Instead of being humble, she tried to play a game. So she said, well, I mean, I've had income, but I haven't been employed. I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. So you're saying you've received money for services you provided? Yes.
That's employment.
But you were unemployed? Yes. Ma'am.
You don't know what the word employed mean, do you? It's getting paid for services. It doesn't matter the amount, but you were employed. Just saying.
Say unemployed. I mean, you were without employment. Do you understand that?
Right.
Oh, yes, that's not how I was defining it. I meant I didn't have like a 9-to-5 job. I was like,
that's not
right,
the
but
same.
You had consulting clients, right? Yes. And you had consulting clients on a regular basis. Yes. And you were in fact making $10,000 a week or so doing that work. Isn't that right? Is somewhere around there. And yet you just testified under oath that you're unemployed.
And you over here trying to separate W-2 employment versus whatever employment.
Well, I guess we're just defining it differently. And that's when the performer streak comes out. And I said, well, let's narrow it down. If I'm well, it means I'm healthy. And if I'm unwell, it means I'm no longer healthy. Is that fair? She was like, yes. I said, right now I'm seated and now I'm unseated. Is that fair? It's like, yeah. I'm like, so when you say you're employed, you mean you have
money,
income. And
right.
when you're unemployed, you
don't have
right?
income.
So earlier when you said you were unemployed for 18 months, that was false. Isn't that a fact? Now, that's the kind of like performative thing you get to do in a courtroom. It's methodical. It's a slow burn.
Yeah,
but
it's a nice slow burn. That's the bit. Like, that's what people don't like. Suits. Oh my gosh, the best slow burns that you could ever see on a legal show. Cause it's like, oh shit, that boy's smart. Like, it really make you believe they a lawyer for real, for real. Cause it's like, oh snap, he was that good of an actor, But yeah, man, that shit interesting.
A witness stand, because after that she just kind of gave up because she realized, okay, I've just killed my credibility,
Yeah.
and
Shit
now
the
she's
bed.
pretty beaten up. One of my favorite moments in the history of my practice is I had a particularly vigorous cross-examination of a person, and at one point she just looked over at the judge and she went, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And the judge said, well, ma'am,
Right.
Mr. Sexton's going to finish his cross-examination.
Right.
If you're saying you need a break,
That's different.
I'll let you have a 5-minute break.
But you
And then
have
you're gonna
to
come back and answer the rest of his questions.
Come on.
So she let her off the stand, and she's walking out, and her lawyer was in front of her, and I'm right behind her, but she didn't realize that I was behind her.
I don't want to be up
And
here
she
anymore.
just looks at her lawyer, and she goes, "You got to get this guy off of me."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I could retire right now. And I was just such a
Cause he was tapping that ass. Like, there wasn't nothing they could do. They was not gonna come back from that. Like, just to understand that you, like, that's being in a fight without being in a fight. Like, they know they got their ass whooped, but it wasn't physical. Sweet.
a great moment. There's something about. I mean, I've done crazy things in court. I laid down on the floor of a courtroom once in the middle of testimony to illustrate a point.
What was the point?
So a key piece of evidence in the case was where my client was sitting in relation to another person. And the judge didn't like my client. And so I
You
had
had
a
to
witness
make
on
it.
the stand who had witnessed what had happened. And I said, okay. I said, Your Honor, can I approach the witness? I said, yeah. I said, I approached the witness stand. And I said to this young woman,
Probably use his body as a measurement. He was like, "Were you this far or whatever?"
I said, I'm going to move backwards. And when I get to the distance that my client was from you, I want you to tell me to stop, okay? Because I was trying to establish that she was about 3 feet away from my client. And the other side was trying to say that they were much further apart, like 9 feet away. It would be catastrophic for my case if they were 9 feet away. But 3 feet away, my case is golden. So I approach the stand. I start moving back. I get about 3 feet away. And she goes, stop. And I go, okay. So just to be clear, where I'm standing right now is how far from you my client was on the day of the incident. She says, yes. So I said, Your Honor, if the record could reflect, I'm about, my distance from the witness. Judge says, yeah, the record will reflect you're about 7.5 feet away.
No,
I said,
this
"Sorry,
is
Your Honor,
7.5
respectfully,
feet.
I am nowhere near
You're
7 feet away. I'm
Right.
about 3 feet away.
What the fuck?
He says, well, Mr. Sexton, do you have a tape measure? Because if you don't have a tape measure, then the record's going to reflect what I'm saying.
Well, I'm about 6'3" or whatever. This is 6'3". I knew it. See, I knew it. He was gonna have to use his body as a unit of measurement. That's the only reason he's gonna be laying on the ground. In that, like, come on, man.
So I immediately laid down on the floor, stuck my feet against the witness stand. I said, Your Honor, I'd like the record to reflect I am laying on the floor. My feet are against the witness stand, and the distance where I was standing is to my knees. I am 6'2". It is about 3 feet.
Come on.
The judge went, Mr. Sexton, get off the floor right now.
Well, that's your fault, idiot. Stop being dense.
But,
It proved a point. Right.
and when we took a break, maybe about 10, 15 minutes later in the testimony, opposing counsel, who's a lawyer I've dealt with before, we walked out of the courtroom together, and
Laughed.
she just looked at me and she went,
Yeah.
I've been doing this a long time.
I
I've
never
seen
seen that.
anyone lay down on the floor of a courtroom. That is a first, and probably be the last time I've ever seen it. It's the last time I ever had to do it, but it really was
yeah,
like,
it was
by any means
necessary.
Like, and there was nothing in my brain that
Wasn't
like, it just
you
immediately went,
wasn't
oh, yeah, that's what I
right.
have to do. Like, I have to establish that.
Right. It wasn't nothing that he was gonna be like succeed to. He was gonna be like, no, bitch, are you stupid? I'm 6'2". And I'm not nowhere near the 7.5 feet you over here like, stop being stupid. You know what 7 feet is versus 3 feet.
This is 3 feet. How am I going to do it? I don't have a tape measure. So, okay, I'm 6'2". I'm going to put my feet against the like, I'm going to just, you got to do what you got. And that's all that trial law is you just have to think fast on your feet. And you get to do really cool stuff like that. I love my job. Like, I love it. I tell that story and I'm reminded of how much I love this gig.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. I'd love to talk more about what you think makes you so good, but I am curious, where do you think your edge is? Or like what makes like the best divorce lawyers or lawyers in general?
Did he not
do you
just
think it's
ask that same
performance?
question?
No, I think it's the way we think.
Yeah,
I think we think tactically. I
Yeah.
think it's like chess players.
it
like
is.
You often don't.
You have to anticipate the move of the other person 5 moves, 10 moves ahead to be able to understand where you have to go and what you have to do to be able to guarantee your victory. And you have to consistently do that with different sets of information that's being presented. Whether it's like being presented before the jury, before the case and everything, or if it's happening during it. Like, you have to be able to be nimble and able to think differently and in different ways to come up to that, victory versus somebody else who's might be equal or just have a different strategy. All that goes into play into not only, the legal system, but like he said, chess. Chess is synonymous with the legals, like all that shit. You have to be able to think moves ahead.
I often don't know why I do the things that I do in a courtroom until I look back on it. Like, they've done a lot of research on fastballs, on pitchers.
Because he has that natural, he found his purpose. He found it. Whether or not it's necessarily specifically being a divorce lawyer, this is just how he's able to make money off of what he's naturally and purposefully skilled at. It's a beautiful thing to find because it's truly art.
And fastballs. And by the time a pitcher who can throw a real fastball, by the time there is any outward sign
that the fastball is coming,
about to throw the ball,
you have to.
It is too late to start your swing.
Yep.
And yet people hit fastballs.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something that a good pitcher and a good batter both possess.
Yep.
Which is some sense of like something energetically that happens in the air when one of them starts. It's a micro movement or something. They immediately know, okay,
this is
and
the
it's
way
not
to do it.
something they're
Perceivable.
Conscious.
Yeah, it's not
it's
perceivable. It's just something that they can do. That's simply what it is. And that's what, I think that's what the education system definitely is bad at. It doesn't, help people find that natural, what's the word? That natural skill or natural advantage to certain things, and they don't foster it to actually guide them in a way that actually, amplifies this ability. Is not necessarily always something that is not always. That's not what the education system is for. It's simply to just breed workers. Whether or not you're actually good at your job, or you can just do it because it's a function that we need done, it doesn't matter. People rarely find what they're naturally and just God-given talent-wise are able to do. And whether or not they're aware of it isn't a whole different question, because you could be, and somebody's just never told you. Somebody's never been able to, like, truly see that outside of yourself for you. Because you can come off, like, yeah, man. I don't want to get too much of a rant. I'm still only halfway through this. I didn't realize it's 2 hours. I thought it was less than 2 hours. But, yeah, man. A lot of that stuff, people don't know that they're good at. People don't know that, this specific trait or talent could be used way better on in a different avenue that would, grant you the life that would be game changing. And I really wish I understood that the way I think and, the ideas that I have was better fostered into learning how to actually communicate. Because first of all, having other skills might actually be something that will be a part of that disconnect and not being able to foster the ability, because you don't have this natural ability to do something. Well, not natural, but you don't have this ability that everybody should be able to effectively learn to foster your natural ability that separates you, that isn't perceivable or even teachable. It's just something that you have. And I think, honestly, being a person who, I say is not perfect as, stepping outside of himself. I won't ever say it's perfect, but I'd say I definitely have a greater sense than the overwhelming majority. So I think that's a certain superpower that I might have that just wasn't fostered in the right way, or, like I said, I didn't have the right skill set outside of that imperceivable talent. And the perceivable natural talent that I did have of being a great freaking receiver, lateral movement, all that good shit, man. It just, I don't know, it was probably too much at the forefront, and I didn't work on the other necessary like things that would make me even better, even though it was getting me through. But to a certain extent, the buck stopped there. But yeah, real interesting.
Just a feeling, like they just know when it's time to swing and when it's time to throw.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same thing. Like I was born to do this job, and in my career, I've met a lot of really good lawyers. They're disciplined, they're thoughtful,
but they don't have
they're methodical, they're tactical, they're intelligent, they study the law. There's a work ethic involved. Like, this isn't a job that you do part-time. Like, it's an intense work ethic.
Right.
In addition to doing your actual work, you also have to constantly stay abreast of developments in the law and case law and the appeals courts.
Yeah, and he definitely is somebody who's able to separate himself, because although they all do the same stuff, they've all done the same stuff to get to their point in their careers. It's just something about him that separates them just that much. Because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But when talent works hard work ain't gonna do, like, all the hard work in the world ain't gonna, like, beat the talent that works hard. They got too much of a tactical advantage. So that's what separates him from the people that he's speaking on now.
So it's partly academic and partly art. But there's also I probably only met maybe 5 or 6
who got the same
trial
thing.
lawyers that I go, yeah, they have it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have it.
Yeah.
And it's something you can't teach.
Yep.
Like, it's just something you have. Like, it's just some ability to smell blood in the water. Like
And
it's
be
something
able to
about in a courtroom. Like I can just
go
I can
blinders
watch
on.
the judge, my client, the other side's client, the other lawyer. I can figure while everyone is reacting.
It's a dance. It's a true dance. It's an art because you have to, first of all, know how different personalities work, different argument styles, all that shit. Evidence, what to use, what not to use, what to bring up, all that stuff. It plays a factor, and to have that flow going, people might, stumbling on that flow and continuing it is different than just being able to do it without stumbling. Because at that point, you at a supersonic level and you don't have no weakness versus the person that's able to, keep going after they stumble. But you at a slower pace than the person who's just naturally doing that.
I'm formulating the next question while thinking about how it all fits into the strategy overall. And it's very much like if you talk to a very high level chess player,
Yep.
they could break it down,
But
but it still wouldn't explain it.
Mhm.
Like there's just something intuitive
Yeah.
that's happening. And I think
Mhm.
I'm extremely sensitive. I think that's what my superpower is that I'm just very, very sensitive to other people's emotional states and reactions.
And this plays into what the everyday spy says makes a great spy, which is anxiety. Because anxiety is being sensitive to certain, things. But at the same time, people, they kind of use anxiety as a blanket term. But real anxiety, is not obtained, but is, something certain people have that allow them to be at a certain wavelength and a certain awareness that helps them throughout life better than you would if you didn't have the same type of anxiety. So I'm glad I was being able to tie that stuff together is, I love, hearing it from a different, expert in the realm, and, tying it back into my head because it allows me to truly absorb the information and reference it because I got to be better at referencing.
Constantly watching everything that they're doing, but I can do that while I'm still talking. But I can do that while I'm still talking. Which very, very sensitive to other people's emotional states and reactions, and I'm constantly watching everything that they're doing, but I can do that while I'm still talking.
Yep.
What did you want to be when you were 12?
12, I wanted to be a lawyer because LA Law was on, and it was like a really popular show. And I remember watching it and thinking it was really cool. Like that people got to
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow, and my husband Ryan died when he was 35 years old.
got to debate and argue and get paid to do. There was a character played by Jimmy Smits called Victor Cifuentes. He was a criminal defense lawyer, and he had an earring. It was like really cool. It was the 80s. And I wanted to be him. I wanted to be like a courtroom lawyer who defended people that were wrongly accused. And that was what I wanted to be. After that, I decided I wanted to be a therapist. When I went to college, I decided I wanted to be a therapist because I really liked working with people when they were in a vulnerable moment or a painful
And
moment,
help them out.
and maybe helping them
Get
navigate
out of it.
the complexity of their situation. I've always been someone who
Psychology.
I'm much better in chaos than I am in calm. I'm great in a courtroom. I have no idea what to do with myself in my living room. I kind of am paralyzed with even on weekends, I find a way to create a list of things that need to be done. Okay, I'm going to cook chili, and then I'm going to do this laundry, and then I'm going to read this book, and then I'm going because I just like
to do stuff.
I don't know. That's how I feel.
Work his
best. I
brain.
feel of use.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being a therapist was something that appealed to me because people come to you with this complexity and just go,
I don't know what to
fix it. Can you help me fix it? And a lot of people go dude, that sounds easy.
What you eating tonight?
On might.
What's Subway?
I already had it. I just had
Today?
it. Yeah.
If you think of something, I'll foot the bill.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I don't know. I hope you fix it. And I was always good at going, okay, yeah, let's figure it out. Like, let's fix it, you know? And it's like if you ever had like a very fine chain, you know, very fine, like if it gets a knot in it, it's maddening because it's like the harder you try to, the more that it gets. You know? So what you really have to do is like very gently and very slowly and very carefully. And I was good at that. But what I realized is, as a therapist, you have to listen more than you talk.
Yeah, and he liked to talk.
Like your role is really to like help this person
think
find
out it for
something themselves.
Yeah,
like
for themselves.
You're not giving it to them. You're guiding
Allowing
them on the
him,
trail.
yeah.
Like all the best therapists I've ever had personally.
Cause your job as a therapist is to pretty much like help the person that came to you like learn how to navigate and find the answers on their own in a way that they're able to understand it and know how they understand things, period. Because you have to be able to be truly outside of yourself to understand, okay, this person might need this way of explaining something to make it make sense to them, but they're going to also have to, you know, come up with the idea and way of thinking on their own when I'm not around, because I'm not going to always be here. And it's not like responsible of me to make you be like not addicted, but and what's the word? I almost had it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Reliant. You can't be reliant on me. My job is to make you self-reliant at the end of the day.
Or worked with professionally, they help people, you know, ask the right questions. They don't just give them the answer, you know, and then the person finds the answer themselves, ideally, and then they're much more committed to the answer. So I think that was the path that took me to the law, and I'm one of the only people I know that doesn't spend 5 days a week looking forward to 2. Like I really love my job. Like I go on vacation and like 3 or 4 days in, I'm like, I miss work. Like, and just cause I love it. Like I really love the game of it.
I want to get to that point with something, bro. Because at that point, it's not work. It's just something that you love to do that you also get paid for. That's it. Simple as that.
Do you want to be the best at it? Is that something you think about? Is that something you value?
No, I don't really think about that. I think that.
And that's very subjective.
Somebody asked me once about when you lose a case.
Does it
or when you win a case?
affect
how does
you?
It feel?
Right.
And I've always said to them, like, of course there's a satisfaction in doing a good job, you know, winning.
But it's the pursuit. It's just the practice of just doing it. He loves the game. He's one of those who loves the game. Truly. He's a LeBron in his field. He's a LeBron in his field. Whether or not he wins or loses, he just simply loves the fucking game. And that's the type of person that you want in every field. Somebody who just simply loves the game. That's so important. That's so important.
And there was a pain in losing. But, you know, Robert De Niro, I remember him being interviewed some years ago, and someone said to him, like, what is it like being considered like one of the greatest living actors? And he said, you know, if I believe the good reviews, I have to believe the bad ones. And so I never thought about being the best. I just wanted to do the job and do it well. I didn't worry about accolades. or becoming known. Like I never meant to be like America's divorce lawyer. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm possibly now the best known divorce lawyer in the world.
That's for
which is
sure.
bizarre to me. But it was never the goal. I think if it had been the goal,
It would have been a whole
it
different.
wouldn't be true.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing less cool than trying to be cool.
Right.
Like,
Either
there's
you
nothing
are or
less-
you're not.
Like I think the coolest people
Don't
they're just
care.
like living their life.
They don't care. That's truly what it is. Like it's not pressed. Like they're not pressed to be cool. They don't give a fuck. Those are literally the coolest people. The people who try hard are literally called tryhards. Like, and you can feel it. You can tell somebody is like a loser, like cosplaying as the cool person, the person who is, you know, where you want to be. They always, like, you can, like, at least certain people can tell, but like it's disgustingly obvious seeing people who aren't truly living their lives truly. Like they're just being a character, which, you know, hey, more power to them. They found a way to make them seem some way based off of a certain skill or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you're good at something, but you're still a loser. And that's like, that's just, that same goes with like a lot of these women. Like, women are not being told that they're losers enough. We love them. Like, they'll get unconditional love. We as men, we understand that we're only really truly like giving unconditional love if we're able to provide. But when you don't have to necessarily provide, or, you know, have that in the forefront of your mind to develop you as a person, you turn into, like, you are able to become a different type of person that necessarily, like, we're not able to, or isn't typical for us to turn into as males. But for women, they're able to turn into a whole different type of person, like psychologically, that isn't, you know, being shamed enough. Like, we don't have shame anymore in our society, for real. Like, attention is the currency of our time currently, and people don't care if they're looking dumb, because it really don't matter. Attention is what matters. That's what is people getting people to the lives that they want, whether or not it makes them look cool truly or not. Like, but I'm going off on a riff, man.
It's just cool. Like, they're not trying to be cool. You know, when you try to be cool, it's super uncool.
Mm-hmm.
I never really was trying to be known or a celebrity. I represent a lot of celebrities. Like, it doesn't, being famous is not all it's
Interest,
cracked up to
right?
be for
Yeah,
people.
no.
Fame offers, you know, fame is the mask that eats into the wearer, and fame is like money. It gives you real.
I like that. Fame is a mask that eats into the wearer. I wonder if there's a movie that like was that the theme, that was the theme of it. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Even though it's like fairly recent, probably I think it was last year. What was it? What is it called? Obsession? I don't think it was called Obsession, but the Demi Moore movie, where, no, what's it called? I almost had it too again. Substance. That's what it's called. Substance. That movie kind of plays into what he's saying. Fame eats into the wearer or whatever. That was kind of the theme, I would say, because literally her trying to be, at least stay on top or whatever, or continue having relevancy, it literally broke her body down. It made her into nothing. And at the very end, I don't know if y'all ain't seen it by now. I'm spoiler alert. Oh well. At the very end, she was literally a pile of mush and just a face. And she was smiling through it all. She didn't care. You know how sick that is? She's essentially dead, and all she cared about was her still being famous or whatever, or being the center of attention. It's crazy.
Solutions to imaginary problems and imaginary solutions to actual money. It gives you real solutions to imaginary problems and imaginary solutions to actual problems. Like it's just not like you're never famous enough. You're never rich enough. I have clients who are billionaires and they work at jobs they hate so that they can make another $100 million. And it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't.
They don't need any more money. than
You
what they
don't.
have. There's nothing that they could, but it's how they keep score somehow. It's how they've like created value.
In
what
their
they think
head.
their worth is based on their net worth. And so I just never measured things that way. I love the work. Like I love the work. I don't, when I think about retiring, I think about retiring from my practice as it stands, which is representing particularly wealthy people in contested custody litigation and divorce litigation. I think about going to work for like a legal nonprofit agency and just doing courtroom work for, you know, indigent people who can't afford counsel. Like because I don't think I'd ever want to give up the game. Like I just love the game. Like I love being in court.
I love the game. I love the hustle. That's that. That's truly what it is. That boy is on his paid in full. I love the game, B. I love the hustle. That boy
I love the rules of evidence. I love the performance of it. So I think when you worry about being the best, and I've seen this with a lot of different clients, and I've seen it with friends like jiu-jitsu athletes who are like, they're the best of the best.
You lose sight
now.
of
But give it 5
why
years, 10 years.
you
they'll
actually got
age,
into
and
it.
they won't be anymore. And if you've defined your worth by like, I'm the best, like someone else will be better looking, someone else will be faster,
And that'll
someone else
tear
will be
you
richer,
apart.
someone else will be more famous. Those are not great metrics to gauge yourself by. Like, do you love what you do? Do you feel turned on by what you do? Like when you finish it, do you feel completely depleted in an unpleasant way, or do you feel exhausted in that way you feel after
Right.
like a really good workout? That you're like, oh, I'm gonna like take a shower and then I'm just gonna sit here because my body went to work and now it's like, oh, it's at rest. Like to me, that's being the best, is just being deeply connected to the task.
That's great advice. I've never heard anyone give.
Good.
Because, yeah, people often align themselves with being the best. But if you make all your value systems based on that, like you're saying, the moment you're not the best, like you don't feel valuable anymore.
Well, you won't be the best at everything either. I mean,
Right. But even the
My
best at one thing, you won't be the best at one thing
like
forever.
my heart breaks for some of my clients. Like I have clients who are celebrities, and you know they were like on a show that was so big, and then the show ends.
Yeah. And at
And it
that
becomes
point,
like
you
a
don't
thing
know.
that, oh yeah, remember we used to watch that, you know? And like there's another show, it's a new show. Or like they're the most beautiful woman on the red carpet. And now they're 10 years older. And there's another incredibly beautiful woman on the red carpet who everyone's talking about. Or they were the rapper that everybody knew. And they had the jam for that summer that everybody was listening to. And now, oh yeah, I remember that song. Oh, I remember her.
There's
Like,
just
and
another.
if that's how they've defined their worth, like they're chasing the dragon forever, man. Like they're just going to be chasing that forever because you can't keep it. It's what I said earlier. We build these walls and hope it'll give us some control over the inevitable decline of everything. Like, that's how it is.
But
So
do you value being the greatest to ever do it?
I value being...
I feel like, yeah, he's asking the same questions over and over in my head, I think. And it's annoying me. Like, he's not listening truly because, I don't know. He's trying to get a specific answer or something in my head. It's annoying to me. It's throwing me off. Because it's not like he's present in the actual like interview. Man, it's simply just asking questions and not absorbing what he talking about. It's getting fairly annoying.
I value, it's in the doing. Like, I value the doing.
He literally said that already. Why is he asking this? He throwing me off, bro. He annoying me at this point. He literally said that already. It's in the doing. It's in the pursuit of just the task itself. Whatever, like, it's not trying to be the best. It's simply doing it. That's it. He loves doing the shit.
Like, I value that every day I can be of use. Like, I value the ability to be of service to a goal, like a worthy goal.
That's real.
Maybe that goal one day is money. Maybe that goal one day is helping a victim of domestic violence in their case. Maybe that goal is to just, I want to accomplish the task in this courtroom, in this appearance.
It don't matter.
There's a goal. I want to get this guy custody, or I want to expand his visitation.
It's the fact that he's good at doing it.
That happen. And again, whether it happens or doesn't, there may
Right.
be variables out of my control.
It
Did I
is.
do my best?
Yeah.
Like, to me, to do my best, that's it.
That's
all
it.
that it is at the end of the day,
Simple
did I
and
do my
plain.
best? Like, and if I did my best, like, that's victory.
That's all you can ask for.
That's all that really matters. And, when I raised my sons, now they're adults, but I used to say to them, like, I don't want you to be a lawyer. I mean, one of them is. But I don't want you to be a lawyer. Like, I want you to find something you love as much as I love law. And I don't care what that is. Like, I don't care what that is. Be a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, love it. Like, love it.
Love that
See
shit.
it as an expression of who you are.
Yep.
John Steinbeck in The Grapes of Wrath says, one of the characters says, I don't love work. No sane man does. But I love what's in the work, which is the opportunity to figure out who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what work should be.
Right.
It's an opportunity to
Find
figure
who
out who
you are.
and
Yeah,
what's
for sure.
important to you.
And the thing is, it's hard for people to see that or to, do it just because we have to pay bills. That's it. That's what it is. That's the only thing that holds everybody up. We have to be able to sustain ourselves. And the need to sustain ourselves by being able to produce money isn't always going to tie to like what you love to do. Sometimes it's not too much money in it, or you're not creative enough, or you don't have the like perfect opportunity that can, sustain you without doing a different job. It's like too many factors that pull you in opposite directions of what your purpose is and what you're naturally attuned to loving. And once you find it, that's a cheat code, bro. It's truly a cheat code, because you're going to love doing it. It's going to come off second nature. It's just going to happen. Like, you don't have to second guess where your next meal is going to come from. Like, it's just a byproduct of being able to, sustain yourself off of this. Is a byproduct of me coming into my own with something that I'm just great at and that I love. It's a beautiful thing to witness, but it's hard to do for everybody because shit just don't play out that way, man.
Quick one. You're going to want to hear about today's sponsor, I Trust Capital. It
I don't
instantly
care.
move my graphics while getting the same tax-saving benefit. Back to the podcast. Yeah, sorry to hone in on that. I
it's
really
great.
find it fascinating because most people I do talk to, I would say it's really 50-50. Like, when they're the best at something or one of the best at something, they either disregard the concept of the best, or they're like, yes, I want to be the best,
But sometimes that's the way people, I think, hype themselves up.
Mhm.
Is like, I want to be the best. It's
Right,
like
yeah.
It's
It might be the verbal, reason, but deep down is not truly the reason. It's like the pursuit of being the best. It's kind of like the same thing, but saying it in different ways. Like, some people truly can separate the pursuit and the action of said thing. But certain things come with like the desire to want to be the absolute best at said thing. Sports. I'm pretty sure he said he meets with a lot of celebrities, so I'm guarantee you half of them is probably sports athletes or something like that. And in sports, you have to want to be the best to not only push you, but to actually find success. Because the ultimate goals is actually set. There's a trophy at the end of each season to actually tell you, okay, you're worthy of continuing this sport, or like being paid to do this sport. You're worthy of it. We want to see that. And that pursuit is literally tied to that end goal. So that's different things have, different motivations, but when it comes to like being a lawyer, nobody has a clue on who the best lawyer in the world would be, because there's so many different ways and avenues of being a lawyer. But if you really love lawyering, of course there'll be, backroom talks of like, okay, general, consensus of lawyers will know who are, stands above some of the rest, but it's not like a public thing that's, even something that those same lawyers are actually trying to accomplish. They just happen to do it because they love the game. So it's real straightforward when you break it down that way, because certain things require you to actually, become the best for you to stay in the, I guess, battle per se. So yeah, man, it's a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily have to have competition. You can just love the game.
It's good to have an end to journey towards, but it's the journey that matters in the end, right? Like it's the path that matters at the end. Like I remember I used to run marathons competitively. And I remember once I trained for like 7 months for the Vermont City Marathon in Burlington. And I was married at the time. And my then wife, it was the night before the race, and I had trained hours and hours and miles, hundreds of miles over the course of 7 months. And workouts in the gym to build quad strength and like complementary things, and diet was disciplined. And it was the night before the race, and she said, are you excited for the race tomorrow? And I said, we go home right now. Like, it was just so great to have this thing
to work. Yeah, work
like,
towards.
Like, if it gives someone a why, they can endure anyhow. Like it was just a thing. Like, it was just a thing to chase. But it gave my life structure for 7 months. It gave me something to think about for 7 months, something to pursue for 7 months.
Yeah.
It gave my day structure. It was like, oh, today I have to run this many miles. Oh, and today I have to do this workout. Like it gave me, like, the journey was everything. The journey was everything. The race was just the culmination. But if you took that away from me, if the morning of it they said, oh yeah, we're actually canceling the race. Like, there's some people that would have gone, oh my God, this was for nothing.
Yeah, I did all this for what? Oh my gosh. But you still got better. You still pushed. Like, it wasn't no guarantee that you was even going to finish. Something could have happened. Like, you could have got injured halfway in, at the very start. Who knows? But did you learn something about yourself on the way? That's important. Like, did you push yourself to be a better version? And if you were able to accomplish that, that's the icing on the cake. That's what you want to go towards.
Thing. And I feel so badly for those people, because actually, no, like, this was everything. The runway of it was everything. Like, everything was that path. Like, And life is what happens when you're busy making other plans, you know, like, and so there was something really, to me, like, even in my professional life, like, it's really just about finding something that you feel very alive and passionate when you're doing. And I think that if you find that, the idea of, there are some people that I think it motivates them tremendously to be like, I want to be the best. I want to be the best. It gives them something to chase.
Yeah.
But it's like a dog chasing a car. Like, you wouldn't want it to do with it if you caught it.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, you're the best. Now you got to stay the best. How do you stay the best?
To keep working
at something. You don't. You're going to die.
Right.
You're going to get old. You're going to get slow. There's going to be young people coming up behind you. Probably really nice people, by the way. They're not your enemy.
Right.
Like,
They're just
and
on the
you might
same
be able to
path.
help them. You might be able to help them move it along and like show them some lessons you learned along the way.
Help them.
You know, and like help make their journey a little easier and be the person or the mentor that you wish you'd had when you were where they are. But if you're so caught up in being the best,
It
then
blinds you.
You're going to miss all those opportunities, which again, give you so much joy. Like, one of the greatest joys of my life now is working with young lawyers on their way up, or like law students who come and intern for us. And they're so excited to like learn from us and watch us. And I have all this experience that I can share with them and help them not make mistakes I made.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to text somebody back. I'll keep forgetting to text them back. I'm tripping. Okay.
Along the way, and like, you know, and see blind spots. And by the way, they see things that I didn't see. Like, they make me better because they sometimes come from a totally different background or approach or perspective, or they're young. They just see things differently. And I'm so open. I have no pride of authorship. I'm so open to like, oh, how would you do it? And then they tell me how they do it. And sometimes I go, yeah, I thought of that, but here's why you wouldn't do it. And they go, oh, okay. And sometimes they'll go, I would do it this way. And I go, man, I didn't think of that. That's awesome. Like, and so I think when you're caught up in being the best, there's this like defensiveness that comes with that, of like, you have to get to it. You have to push everybody else out. And I'm not that way. Like, I believe in open sourcing. Like, I tell everybody, like, even my adversaries, I'm like, oh, you can have access to all my motions if you want them. Like, they're in Word format. I'll email them to you. Like, the only thing I ask is just if you can, you know, if you improve it, send it back to me. Because I don't care. Like, you're not going to beat me at my game. This
Literally.
is my game. Like,
That's a different type of confidence. To be like, what? You think you would stop me in my pursuit of improving myself? I'm fucking crying, bro. That's comedic. I like you. You're funny. You're a funny guy.
and I'll give you my materials. Like, I'll give you my whole playbook. Like, you can have it. Because again, if you try to emulate it, you're entering into my game. And I'll do my game better than anybody because it's mine, you know? So I'm not afraid to be open. I'm not afraid to be like, and again, when you're not striving to be the best, you know, when you have one eye focused on the destination, you only have one with which to see the way.
Right.
And you need to use both eyes
To see the way.
I do want to transition a bit because I find you to be a great storyteller.
Thanks.
What prenup demand instantly led to a couple breaking up?
Ooh, that's a good one. I just had one recently. Hopefully they're not a viewer. I had a young guy in finance in his late 20s, early 30s. Good net worth for that age, you know, maybe like 2-3 million, which for that age is very impressive. The first million's the hardest. And I don't know what she was trying to do, but she laid out a list of, first of all, her lawyer called me and he's someone I've dealt with before. And he said, I just want you to know this list isn't coming from me. And I said, wow, we're off to a bad start. And he said, yeah. He said, you're gonna want to put me on mute so you can laugh out loud when you hear this list. He goes, some of it I think your guy should just concede, but some of it is ambitious. And I said, and you're using ambitious as a term because you're a gentleman, but really what you want to say is that like it's batshit crazy, you know? And sure enough, it was. Like she wanted a personal monthly allowance for cosmetic procedures like Botox and lashes and hair and nails. And she wanted a certain number of vacations per year that had to be a certain level. Like the flights either had to be private or first class. She was basically like saying, you have to maintain this incredibly high level of providing for me. And I listened to this list, and it was preposterous. I mean, she wanted a certain amount for clothing. She wanted a certain amount if she got pregnant, there would be a certain number of vacations that she got, and then she'd get a push present for each baby, meaning that like she would get like a gift, like a jewelry. It had to be like a minimum value of $100,000. It was crazy.
A push present.
A push present. I'd never even heard of that. It's a thing apparently. I actually had not heard the term, but I'm 53, so there's a lot of stuff you young people say. Like I didn't know what Riz was either, and I rely on the young people who work in my office. And I was like, do you know what a push present is? And one of the girls up front was like, yeah, it's a present that you get like right before you're about to have a baby. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, because you're gonna push out the baby. It's like a gift. And I'm like, isn't pushing out the baby the gift? They were like, no, it's like a gift, it's like a piece of jewelry you get or whatever. Like, look, I don't think there's anything
wrong,
unromantic. I think if you are having a baby with a woman and you buy her a piece of jewelry like right before she has the baby and say like, oh, I wanted you to remember this lovely moment in our relationship before you had the baby, and whenever you look at it, I want you to think about the fact, oh, that's the present you gave me before our kid was born. Like,
it's a byproduct, not something that's
like to give it a name and
necessary.
Put a financial demand on it.
Right.
Like, man, you're really like
you're
taking
mucking it
something
up
kind of sweet and turning it into something. It'd be like me saying like, I wish to have sex at least this many times per week and oral sex at least this many times per week. Like, it's like, okay, guys,
now you're making it.
We all know what we want in this economy of this relationship, but like you're saying it out loud and putting it on paper.
Right.
So I was worried because...
Can you make sexual demands in a prenup?
You can put it in a prenup, yeah. You can put it in it. Yeah.
It's not enforceable, though.
It's not enforceable by the state, meaning they can't be like, you owe him this many blowjobs. But you can put it in there that says that there would be penalties in the event that there was a lack of sex. Or, and I've seen some people do it. I discourage people from putting those kinds of clauses in, but people do it all the time. People put in infidelity clauses. People put in all kinds of crazy things. I just had someone to put in, if your mother moves in with us, I get X number of dollars a month, because I guess she didn't like her soon-to-be mother-in-law. But, people, sometimes the most powerful, successful, dominant men are utterly terrified of the women they're in relationships with. It's shocking to me, because it is not how I am wired in relationship. Like, I am not someone who's like
bow
afraid
down
to tell someone something they don't want to hear.
Exactly.
Because I think it's a surefire recipe for being miserable in a relationship. Is like giving people uncomfortable, like avoiding uncomfortable truths by giving them comfortable lies is a sure way to like not get what you want and to ultimately disappoint them in a big way. And I told my sons when they started dating, I was like, you have to learn how to disappoint a woman. Just
that's real.
It's okay. Like, she's not going to die. She's going to be disappointed. Learn how to disappoint a woman. Like, a woman would tell you, if she's being honest, like, learn how to disappoint me a little so that you don't disappoint me a lot by pretending that things are true that aren't, or pretending you feel things you don't. It's okay
balance.
To disappoint me a little.
It's a dance.
And to say, I know this disappoints you a little, but X, Y, and Z. Because it's true. And I don't want to not tell you the truth. I want to be candid with you. I want you to know the truth. There's something really valuable about that.
It
and
is.
Again, sometimes women they're like, well, I don't want that to be. Okay, I know.
You don't.
It's disappointing.
Right.
But, like, I'm strong enough to tell you the truth. I'm strong enough to tell you things you don't want to hear. And I would hope you want me to tell you things because they're true, even if they're uncomfortable. And I think most women, eventually, that's what they really want.
They
in a
come to
relationship.
grips.
But there are a lot of men that have never worked that muscle. Like, they've never learned how to disappoint a woman. So you have guys that are like...
That's crazy to think, because looking back, That's truly what it is for me. I think that was like my crutch. Not my crutch, but what is it? What's the word? I don't know. Crux. Is that how you use the word? Let me look it up real quick. Crux. Divisive, important point at issue, particular point of difficulty. Yep. That's how you use it. Okay, I'm glad I'm expanding my vocab. Even though I knew what it was, just wanted to make sure. But that was my crux. That was something I didn't know I had to get better at, but I was like, being able to be truthful, but tactfully truthful is a super skill when it comes to relationships, especially romantic relationships, heterosexual relationships. Because men, we have to ride that fine line. Women, it's a whole different. Like when it comes to lesbian relationships, they don't know how to necessarily ride that fine line. That's why their numbers as far as divorce is such a big thing, and that's why divorce among women being the ones to initiate it. Not divorce among women, but women initiating divorce is a lot more than men initiating divorce, because they just I don't know, that skill isn't a part of their repertoire necessarily.
Masters of the universe finance dudes,
8%,
or like celebrities or athletes, and they're like petrified of the women in their lives. So I was worried that this guy was going to be one of those. That, like, because a woman who would have the audacity to make this list, like, something tells me this isn't the first time she's made some demands.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh boy, like, is this guy really going to be like, all right, I'll do the present, but it's not 100,000, it's 50,000, and won't do 6 trips, I'll do 4. You know, like, are we really going to have a negotiation like this? Because it's his life, not mine. Like, my job is just to make it legally binding.
Right.
And it was great because I called him sort of, all right, I don't know what I'm going to get here, but like my experience tells me I'm going to get a guy who's going to like see it as a negotiation.
So he hadn't seen it yet.
No, yeah.
This was something they did separately.
Yeah, they each had their own counsel.
Is that common?
Yeah, it's pretty common. It's pretty common that when you're doing a prenuptial agreement, you have what's called potentially adverse interests, meaning more for you is less for her and more for her is less for you. So one lawyer can't represent both of you.
Yeah.
You each have to have your own attorney, or one of you has to have an attorney and the other one can be unrepresented.
I guess the separate formulation, though, like...
Yeah, so look, in a better situation, someone comes in for a consultation about a prenup. I explain to them their rights and obligations in the absence of a prenuptial agreement, and then what you can do with a prenuptial agreement. And then they sit down with their fiance and they come up with the rule set that makes sense for the two of them. And then they call me or email me and say, okay, this is what we've agreed to. And then I write it up and make it legally binding. And their fiance brings it to a lawyer, and the lawyer says, yep, it says what you think it says. It says what you and your fiance agreed upon. They both sign it and they go live happily ever after. That's the goal. Often what happens is people don't want to have the conversation. So they talk to their lawyer, and the other one talks to their lawyer, and then they all act like, oh, it wasn't me, it was the lawyer. What does it say? Oh, I didn't even know it says that. I mean, well, it's like, yeah, you do. Like, we work for you. Like, we work for you. Like, it's like having a plumber, and they put the sink in a particular place, and you go like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm not a plumber.
You asked for it.
The plumber works for you.
Literally, you asked for it to be right there. You should have said
you want it
right.
somewhere else.
Literally.
Like a painter, like, doesn't pick the color. You pick the color. Like, so you can't be like, oh, the painter.
No, I didn't. He just
paint
did
the
it.
color. Like, you pick the color. So I really expected him to do what I've seen a lot of men do, which is go like, all right, well, I'll do this, but not this, and da-da. And so I called him and I said, all right, I spoke to her lawyer, and she has some demands. She has an array of demands, and she has what I would call a fairly ambitious list of demands. He goes, all right, let me hear it. And I maybe got through the first 3, and he went, yeah, no, it's not happening. It's no problem. I just won't even marry her if that's what she wants.
Real.
And I remember thinking like I wanted to be like, that like Shia LaBeouf clap, like I was like, yes.
Right.
And so I called opposing counsel and I said, yeah.
We're not going for it.
That's his answer. His answer is no. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah. And he goes, good for him. And I said, no.
Literally.
And what's interesting is they did end up They
Getting
did end up
married?
breaking up.
Oh yeah,
They ended up ending the relationship. And, man, I think he ducked a bullet.
for sure.
Like, I think it was the right move for him.
Yeah,
I think it revealed something
About her.
what her deeper
Yeah.
motivations were for marrying him.
It
And I
wasn't
think
truly
it
love.
put some things on real display. That's why I tell
Yeah.
people that
that's
even
real.
if you aren't necessarily going to marry someone or you aren't necessarily going to insist on it.
When you really think about it, a prenup is just the outward, it's the outward admittance of what you want the relationship to be. That's all it really is. Cause no, not what you want the relationship to be, but also what you want to get out of said relationship. Cause whatever you put in a prenup is something that y'all both have to, number one, agree to, but also be willing to give up in said pursuit of the relationship from that point forward. Because whatever you don't have in that prenup, you're not getting in the event of a divorce. So having that being understood at the very beginning of, that turning point in your relationship is the simplest way to get the real answer as to what you want, as to what your partner wants in this relationship or whatever, or what's important for the future of this relationship. In the event, y'all don't work out or whatever, because of emotional reasons, not just legal or financial reasons, but just simply wanting to be with each other romantically. That's the only thing that plays a part in that. That's the only reason the situation might not work out, is because it had to mainly do with y'all connection to each other. That's all it is. Anything outside of that, it's like, okay, this was a more of a reason for you to get married to me, not just me being the reason you wanted to get married to me. It's a whole different, mindset that you'll be put in, and frame of mind that you'll be put in, because at that point, you know what they actually truly wanted. Whether it was something that they might have said, this will reveal it.
A prenuptial agreement, having a conversation with someone about, if we got married, how would you feel about a prenup and what would you want to be in the prenup? It's a useful conversation.
It is.
It tells you a lot about, what do you see as my value in this economy of a relationship? What do you see as your value in the economy of this relationship? Because that's what it is. It's an economy. I mean, all relationships are an economy.
Yeah,
It's an exchange of value
for
between two
sure.
people.
I would guess that human beings are particularly poor at gauging out how much value they objectively provide to their
For
partner.
sure.
And in what ways they provide that value.
And isn't that funny? Because wouldn't that be a lovely conversation? With your partner? To say hey,
It would be freeing to a sense, but also to the person who doesn't know what their value is or what they can bring to the table, as crazy as the taboo conversation that is, it's truly something that people who don't have a real answer can't come to grips with, because it's like they don't have something that necessarily separates themselves from the pack. And that's ultimately what it is, outside of what you look like or what your personality is. You can be you can be a specific type of person all you want, but what the value of a marriage is simply what can we do together to push this thing forward equally, because it has to be equal, whether it's equal in the sense of financial or emotional type of all the different factors that play into it. It has to be equal to them too. It doesn't necessarily have to be equal to the people outside of it, but it has to be equal to them too. And if you're not able to have that conversation with each other, there's no point in trying to go forward, because at that point you're not willing to even step outside yourself to see what you bring into a relationship, not just this relationship. But it's hard for people to, actually come to grips with that realization of needing to know that answer, not only for the other person, but just for themselves.
Hey, when do I make you feel the most loved? What do I do? Like, what do I do and what do I say that makes you feel loved?
Specifically by me.
And what do I say and what do I do that makes you feel less loved? Where do I get it wrong?
So I can improve.
Like, what a cool conversation to have. What an interesting conversation. Like, what could be more interesting than that?
Right.
Like, and yet we don't have that conversation. Like, we actually steer out of it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's so odd. Like, it's so odd that I would think that's the most important conversation to have, is like, what do you love about me? Do you want to know what I love about you? Do you want to know when I feel the most connected to you? Do you know what I think is the coolest thing about you? Do you know what traits in you I hope never change? Do you know what traits in you I really think you would be happier if they were different? Like, what better conversation to have than that? But it requires a certain confidence and bravery in the connection between two people. See, I think it actually demonstrates a confidence and bravery in the relationship to have those conversations. But we're very afraid sometimes to have difficult conversations,
You hinted at this earlier in this conversation. What's a sentence that can end a marriage instantly?
A sentence that could end a marriage instantly. Wow.
That's very specific. But it could be a generic
Well, I'll tell you,
answer.
I think it's a question of degrees, right?
Right, yeah.
But
it's like, he's asking for a very specific answer, but it can be a generic answer that has different levels, or, basically just different levels to it, different levels of complexity to it that can, be equal, but also like work out in certain instances. But 9 times out of 10, it's all the same thing.
I mean, certainly, like, the marriage killers are things like, I don't think I've ever really loved you, or I don't think you know what love is. Those are really like marriage killer things to say. I think the things we say, like, no single raindrop's responsible for the flood. I think that relationships fall apart because of small discourtesies. I was just having a conversation with one of my sons about never telling a woman who's upset to calm down. That literally in the history of calm and down, no
There's
woman has
never
ever
said,
calmed down by being told to calm down.
Yeah.
Like it's the dumbest thing you could say to a woman who is upset. Like, calm down.
That'll actually turn you
might as
up.
well have just told her, like, I
Turn
hate
it
Mom.
up.
Like, that's just calm down. Like, because really, what are you saying?
You're doing something wrong.
Yeah, you're saying your feelings are wrong, and you're doing something wrong, and your feelings are inconvenience to me, or they're annoying to me, or I don't want to deal with them. Like, you're not worth that. Like, that's brutal. That's brutal. But I said it earlier that, like, the opposite of love isn't hate. Like, love and hate are passionate emotions. The opposite of love is indifference. Like, the worst thing you could say to your partner is like,
I don't care about you.
Like I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about it. Like, I wasn't really thinking about you. Like, that's the part that I think is so painful for people. Like, people get very caught up in infidelity, because infidelity is a big part of a lot of marriages ending and relationships ending. I don't think it's the cause. I think it's a side effect or a symptom. But a lot of times, one of the things people say, it always baffled me, is they'll say, well, this person meant nothing to me. They meant nothing to me. Like, I slept with this other person, but it didn't mean anything. Like I don't care about them at all. And that always felt even more insulting. Because it was like, oh, so
you were willing,
like just weren't thinking about me.
Yeah.
And you potentially threw this away
for nothing.
For someone you don't even think about or care
Yeah.
about. Like, what does that say about how much you care about me? That, like, what should have brought you home, you didn't even think about.
Right.
You were like, oh, yeah, this looks nice. I want that. Like, you know, because that's what discipline is trading what you want now for what you want most.
Yeah.
And in theory, a relationship is saying, I'm never going to find any other woman or man attractive.
I'm disciplined enough.
It's insane.
Right.
Because we're not wired that way. We're always going to find people attractive.
Of course.
What you're saying is,
I'm disciplined enough to forego that urge to actually even pursue anybody else because I'm gratefully in love with you. That's what it is.
I care so much about our relationship. I find such value in it that I want to give it my exclusive energetic focus. And I'm not going to waste any of my energy physically, emotionally, sexually on another person. I'm going to commit to you. And I'm going to give you all of these aspects of me, these pieces of me, these unique, special pieces of me. And you're going to give me the same. And that's going to be a commitment we make to each other. And that doesn't mean we're not going to find other people attractive. It just means we're going to go, oh, yeah, that is nice. But, you know.
It's cool.
Like, just because you're on a diet doesn't mean you don't want to look at the menu.
Right.
But you go, no, I'm going to just eat this, though. Like, I'm not going to.
That's
go
cool.
all over these other things. So I think that it's not the thing you're saying, it's what's underneath what you're saying. Like, that's a lot of my job is
uncovering.
You know, like when a guy says, I want 50-50 custody, he doesn't actually mean, like, I want 50% of this. Like, that's insane. No one looks at their life that way. No one's like, I've only had 48% of the time with my children. I need 2 more percent. Like, no one looks at life that way. What he's saying is, I don't want to be like a weekend dad. I don't want to be like a part-time parent. I want to like do the hard part and the fun part of parenting. I want to do the heavy lifting and I want to do the fun part. And I don't want to just be like a weekend person who sees their kids every other weekend. I want to be like hands-on.
Right. And
so it's not about the percentage. Like, it's what's underneath it. And so for me, a lot of what we need to learn in relationship, I think, is what I need at my job, which is it's not what you're saying you want, it's what's underneath that. So it's the same thing when it comes to words that hurt people. Like, it's not
the words themselves.
It's not the cheating, it's what the cheating symbolizes. It's not the harsh words or like I think the harshest words that people say to each other are like, it's not the words at all. It's like the delivery of it. It's the like, what? All right, yeah, whatever. Like, that hurts way more than cursing at me.
Do you think it's the fact that they're willing to say that as well?
Yeah, it's an open disrespect. It's sort of
like you went there, but you know not to go there, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if you think about what hurts the most is the feeling that this person has no respect for you. You know, your conversation with Sadia Khan, I enjoyed very much. And one of the things that she said, and I like Sadia, I know her personally, and I like her work. And I thought you had a really great conversation with her. And one of the things she talked about in that conversation, I'm sure you'll recall, was how much a man wants to be respected by a woman in his life. And how when you, like, beat him down and disrespect him, how that's like the worst thing you can do to a man, you know? And when I was watching that part of the interview, I thought to myself, yeah, like, that's absolutely true. That's why, like, when I hear some of the young women in my office, like, on the phone with a boyfriend, and they're, like, not in a particularly good relationship, and I hear them be like, huh? What? Yeah, all right, whatever. Yeah, no, fine. I just think, like, oh, man, like, dude, like, I don't know this guy, but get out, man. Like, get out. Like, A, this is the preview to the movie. It's not even the movie yet. It's the preview. And the preview is the best part of the movie.
Right.
So if you're just dating this girl and she's already doing the, like, what? Oh, yeah, whatever. Run. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. I guarantee. The preview is the best part of the movie. If the preview sucks, the movie's definitely going to suck. Because the preview is the best parts of the movie. So this is not going to work now. So get out. Like, get out now. There's 8 billion people in the world. You will find another one.
Real.
Go. Get out.
That's real.
Because if you're at that stage already, where you're doing, because I think that's the words that end a relationship. Is like, it's not the words, it's like it's that energy, it's that dynamic. Of
You
like,
can feel it.
like, or even guys, like, you know, when they're talking about their girlfriend, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't know, she wants to like do something. Just, it's
You
not
can
what I'm saying.
sing.
It's the way I'm talking about this.
Right.
Like, because what am I saying? I'm like, oh, she's in
Fuck,
such a
this is a
pain.
pain. Yeah.
Like,
It's a
that is
nuisance
not how you're supposed to feel
towards
about
somebody
this
you
person
love.
that you've chosen.
Literally.
Out of 8 billion other options, you
Why would
chose
you do
this
that?
person, and your emotional response to their needs is like,
Ugh.
what?
It's a burden.
Like, but that to me, that's the line in my office right there. That's the thing that people, it's not what you say, it's like the energy with which you're saying it, the energy with which you're interacting with this person. Like, you ever watch two people who are like legit in love with each other? The way they look at each other when one of them's talking to the other. I was talking to Lex.
It's like they
Friedman,
daydreaming.
and he's very close with Joe Rogan. And Joe's been married a really long time, and he has a really successful marriage. He doesn't talk a lot about it, but he
That's how you
has a
keep
really
it, for
successful
real.
marriage, and he's got kids, and he's got, you know, but they've been together a long time. And Lex was saying to me that when Joe is talking, like the way his wife looks at him, even after 20 plus years of marriage, it's like he's the most brilliant person in the world. Like, and when he looks at her, it's like he's looking at like the most interesting, beautiful person. And he's like, there's just this energy. And I absolutely knew what he meant, because I have a couple of friends that are in really happy, good, long-term relationships, and they all have that in common. They all have in common this like sense around each other of like, they are cheering for each other. Like they are a fan of each other. And it's the opposite of that, like, what? All right. That thing.
Would you say that you've mostly seen
30 minutes and I got 4%. I don't think I'm gonna make it. I think I'm actually just gonna batch, you know, the second half of the AI talk with this one. I'm just gonna do it in one fell swoop, either tomorrow or Thursday, probably Thursday. More than likely Thursday or Friday, actually, now that I think about it. That'll give me enough time to at least post this and make some snippets of it, post it on TikTok, because I need to get some viewers to my channel, man. I got this bot viewer who, you know, be in my shit, but I don't really care. I need to start posting these to get more views and more eyes on my stuff, because I think I'm hitting some very valuable points. But other than that, man, it's been a great stream. I appreciate y'all, and stay tuned for the next one on, I'm just gonna say Friday, just to be safe. But yeah, man, appreciate y'all, love y'all. Till next time, we gone.